What is going on, YouTube? Welcome back to Fireside Rangers. I'm your host, Eric Wilson. Today, I got a big group of guys with me, joined by my co-hosts, Will Cohen, Colin Alcabes, and Dylan Vigna. Hitting the four-piece, almost had the quintuplet if Tony was able to be here, but unfortunately, he did have flag football. So good luck, Tony, on that. Let me know if you win, if you ever actually watch this. But yesterday, we went live before Game 1. Then afterwards, we reacted to Game 1. Here we are to preview Game 2 and talk about some big players, some players that we might not have expected to be major key players moving into these playoffs. But here we are after Game 1. Our minds are kind of blown by some of the players that really stood out last night. So we're going to get right into previewing this game. But before we do, make sure you guys like, subscribe, ring that bell so you don't miss notification. If you're watching us on Apple or Spotify, be sure to give us a 5-star review. Leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. What do you think needs to happen in Game 2 in order for the Rangers to extend their series lead to 2-0? Lastly, be sure to follow us on all of our social media platforms at Fireside Rangers on Instagram, X, and TikTok. But before we really get into things, Will, how are you doing today, my friend?
My computer's frozen. That's all I got to say. It's fucking frozen right now. Oh, sorry. It's frozen right now.
Hey, your end might be frozen, but we can see you clearly. We can hear you clearly. Let's keep going. I guess that was it.
Colin, that was it. Yeah, that was it.
I'm good. I'm finally in Florida. I landed last night at like 3 a.m. after my flight got delayed multiple times. Finally in the world's happiest place. Hoping to pop over to see Eric sometime this week. Maybe watch a playoff game and do a little bit of recording with him as well.
If this video gets 1,000 likes, me and Colin will team up for a duo episode together in person. If not, I will delete the channel. Dylan, how are you
doing? Doing good, boys. Good to see you. A good win yesterday. Ready for another one tomorrow. Coming quick and ready to get going.
It's the playoffs, baby. We got one day off. I know there was an optional practice today that apparently the only player to show up to was Jonathan Quick. So I guess Heedle showed up. I saw Vince Mercogliano tweeted that only
Ruedel and Jones were there too.
Yeah,
love to see it. Love to see it.
Well, yeah, no, that's good. I'm glad to see they're getting the work in. I might have just misread that tweet because obviously, shout out Vince. He knows everything that's going on. Don't want to discredit him at all. I was going to say, like, who would shoot on Quick? How is he even going to practice if no one's there? But let's get in. Before we even preview Game 2, I know yesterday during the Game 1 reaction, we did have a decent discussion about some of the notable players that stood out. We talked about Igor. We talked about Matt Rempe. Shout out Rempe again. I'll never get over the fact that he scored our playoff series opener. Kind of reminds me of when Tanner Glass roofed one on Montreal that one time.
It's funny, we just talked about that yesterday, like literally yesterday.
Yeah, like no one would have guessed that, but it happened. But another player that we didn't really expect to do much, but had a phenomenal game yesterday, Barclay Goodrow. I know we had some commenters on yesterday's video saying like, oh, we've been saying this all season long. Goodrow is a playoff performer. He's the type of guy we need. I probably wouldn't have believed you if you told me that a few nights ago, but here we are. He had 2 assists last night. Incredible game. It's kind of weird, this last final stretch of the regular season and then now Game 1. Goodrow has been good. He's like playing himself out of a buyout. Somehow he's making that $3.6 million this close to being nearly worth it. Still not worth it for 3.6.
How close was it? I can't see.
A little further than that.
So you got to trust me, Will. It's like it's not worth it, but he's making it a discussion. The fact that I'm even bringing it up is a notable change. Yeah. But Will, how did you feel about Barclay Goodrow last night, and what do you expect from him moving forward?
Yeah, I was really impressed with him. I mean, that the fourth line was noticeable all game. They shut down the line that they were. I don't know what line they were against, probably just the Washington's fourth line, but they had a lot of sustained time in the offensive zone. They obviously combined for 5 points, and Barclay Goodrow had 2 assists, second star of the game. I'm looking for him to do much of the same tomorrow. Good defense and have an offensive impact. That's really all I'm looking to do. Just repeat the same thing. Don't change anything in your game. Keep it simple and keep it the same.
Yeah, no, that is a valid point right there. When earlier this morning, when I was thinking about ideas for today's episode, the first thought I had was just 3 changes the Rangers need to make heading into Game 2. But at the end of the day, I don't really think we need to make any changes at all. It was a perfect game. Colin, I mean, if you were Peter Laviolette, Are you changing anything? You're going to keep everything the same, keep the same mindset, play style, and thoughts on Goodrow?
I'm not touching anything. I'm keeping it all the same. I mean, you said yourself that game was as close to perfect as you can get. Obviously, one breakdown, it hits off a guy's skate out in front. It might have even been Mika's. I'm not even sure. But it hit off somebody's skate out in front and it goes in. But that was really the only rough part of the game. Everything else, it was pretty polished, pretty clean. They did a good job defending. And looks like we've lost Will entirely, or he's just frozen. No, he's back now. But I've been impressed with what the team was doing yesterday, and I've also been impressed with Goodrow. I know people have been saying he's a playoff performer. Unfortunately, it's tough because you don't want to play or pay a guy $3.6 million a year to only perform in the playoffs if you get there. He needs to be good throughout the rest of the year. Obviously, I love that he stepped up his game. This last stretch of games, as you mentioned, he was really good down the stretch of the season, and he was phenomenal last night. He was dominant when he had the puck, and he was noticeable at all times. And I think that all four lines were pretty good. I mean, obviously, Kreider gets in there late. He gets a goal from the first. Panarin gets a goal. So there's, you go from the second. Kakko hits a post, and there's plenty of chances, not to mention the defense that the third line played. I mean, they were crucial to the win, and then you're getting contributions from the fourth line. You need this to continue. You need all four lines to keep on contributing to the success of the team, because that's the best way to win a cup. I mean, you look at the teams that have won in the past, it's not been based on just their star players. Obviously, it helps when your stars are stars, but it also helps when you're getting contributions up and down the lineup, because, as long as you keep coming at the goalie, you're going to tire him out, and eventually, some are going to trickle through and things like that. It's just about consistent pressure and zone time and wearing your opponent out. And so if you're able to do that in all facets of the game and through all four lines, I think that's phenomenal. And I think it bodes really well for what the Rangers are going to be able to do going forward.
Yeah, dude. I know you said $3.6 million for only the playoffs doesn't really sound ideal, but at the end of the day, if it gets the Rangers a Stanley Cup, I'm fine with it for right now. It's just up to the team to take us that far. It's 1 out of 16 wins that we've hit. We're very excited, very hyped, but there's a lot of work to be done. So Dylan, lastly for you, I know, unfortunately, last night when we made that Game 1 reaction, I forgot to text you, so you weren't there. But you're here now. So just quick thoughts on the Rangers last night. How did you feel about Barclay Goodrow?
Yeah, so I'll take last night. I don't want to say perfect game for last night. I think it was a good start. Fourth line did their job really changing momentum of that game. I thought early on I was a little worried actually about Rempe. Eric, you and I have spoken much about his penalties and penalty minutes. Right away, he gets the penalty 1:30 in the game. I'm thinking, oh, no, here we go. He's going to be in the box. Not a good call anyway, but he's in the box early. I think the fourth line did a tremendous job after that, hitting, physicality, kind of changing the momentum around. Penalty kill as well was amazing yesterday. Washington didn't even generate. I don't even know if they had a shot on goal. I know Ovechkin was blanketed by Kreider and Vesey on that PK. Those two guys did a tremendous job on him. And then I thought at 5-on-5, the Rangers need to get inside a little bit more. I know you guys said no real adjustments, but I think that's an adjustment they can make. Get into the high slot area. It seemed like a lot of times the puck was kind of stuck on the half wall for the Rangers. If they can move that offense to the inside, and I'll credit Washington there. I thought that was where they did a good job yesterday on the inside, blocking shots, which they do very well. But I think if the Rangers can get the puck to the inside in tomorrow's game, I think they could really assert their dominance, because you could tell yesterday the skill discrepancy was on full display. And as far as Barclay Goodrow is concerned, I think he was tremendous. He did an excellent job below the goal line, actually creates Rempe's goal, allows Jimmy Vesey to make that really nice pass, because he gives Vesey so much room to cut the net off there and then put it back door to Rempe. Wins the draw for Vesey's goal. And then I know a lot of people have been talking about Goodrow and Rempe, but Jimmy Vesey deserves a ton of credit. Obviously, the points yesterday, he was outstanding. And then his work on the penalty kill alongside of Kreider, that's not an easy task. That's the greatest goal scorer to ever play the game. Completely shut him down. Both guys did a tremendous job on him. And then also, too, I love what I saw from the Kreider-Zibanejad pairing. We've been tough on those two guys as a fan base. Those two guys were excellent yesterday, very noticeable. First period, Mika Zibanejad had a one-timer on the power play. Lindgren ends up making a good save on. He had a chance in the high slot later in the second period. And Kreider, I thought, was very noticeable yesterday. So quick shout-out to those two guys.
Yeah, no, shout out to everyone. The Rangers played perfect in my opinion. Like we all just agreed on that. But moving away from the Barclay Goodrow discussion, let's really get into the nitty gritty of Game 2. Like very important things that need to happen. I think the biggest one for me, at least, is shutting down Ovechkin again. We talked about it a lot last night. Ovechkin was held to 0 shots the entire game, so I don't want to like dive deep into that one. Just do it again. Like Dylan just said, greatest goal scorer of all time. Holding him to 0 shots quite literally just prevents him from scoring, which is definitely a big help. But the other biggest thing for me that I will give some actual insight on is the Rangers need to keep Matt Rempe in the lineup. We were torn before the series began. Should he play? Should he not? How many games? If so, obviously Laviolette decided to throw him in for Game 1. And the effect that he had was amazing. Not aside from the fact that he scored a goal, just his presence alone just changed everything. There were so many times where he would be challenged by Dylan McElrath or anyone on the Caps, and he played brain games with them. Like they tried to tease him and get him to drop the gloves and take a dumb penalty, but he didn't. We were scared that he might not have the experience to make that rational, big hockey IQ move, but he did. So I think if he can just keep getting in the Capitals' heads, it would be huge for the Rangers. I mean, Tom Wilson, we thought that him and Rempe would be the ones going at it. Tom Wilson looked scared out there last night. He didn't want to go anywhere near Matt Rempe. McElrath was the only one that did, and Rempe was smart enough to just be like, laugh in his face and wave him goodbye. So that to me is my biggest thing heading into Game 2. Keep Matt Rempe in the lineup. I don't know if anyone agrees or has anything to add, but we can just go through and everyone just tell us what your biggest thing heading into Game 2 is.
I think my biggest thing is just have Panarin keep.
You're muted.
Am I?
Yeah, you just muted yourself.
I wasn't even muted. I don't know. Weird. Mine is just making Panarin shoot the puck. Like he had 7 shots on goal yesterday, 10 shot attempts. Like I just want to see him unload shots at Charlie Lindgren, and that line played very well yesterday, in my opinion. I thought Lafreniere ran a really good play along the board on Panarin's goal. But I just want to see Panarin keep shooting the puck. I've never seen him do that in the playoffs before. I mean, 7 shots on goal, it's crazy. So that's what I want to see from the Rangers. Keep doing that.
Valid point.
If I'm looking to do anything, obviously it's shots, not just from Panarin, from the whole team. Charlie Lindgren is a very good goal. I think he's extremely underrated. And I think down that stretch, he only let in 7 goals over the last 5 games or something like that, they were saying, or it might have been vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
But he was really solid down the stretch. I thought he played a decent game. Obviously, he let in 4 at the end of the day with 2 of his top defensemen out. But eventually, those guys are going to look to come back, and they're going to be a little bit tighter on the defensive side of the puck. So we just got to make sure that we're peppering him with shots, getting guys to the front of the net, looking to cash in on those rebound chances when he does let them up. And also just, making sure that we're staying true to our game, not trying to get too fancy or anything like that. Just keeping our game simple and defense first, like we have been all season, like we were in the beginning of the season. We kind of got away from it a little bit. But it seems like we've gotten back to that now, where I felt the defense was really solid yesterday. And I agree that, you can keep Ovechkin from shooting. I think that's massive, just because he is the catalyst to their offense. I also think that I'd love to see Rempe throw the body around Wilson a little bit, just because he was kind of putting the hurt on Zibanejad yesterday. I don't know if you guys took notice of that, but he hit him a couple times.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'd like to see him kind of get stood up a little bit and just Rempe to let him know, hey, I'm here. Unfortunately, that matchup doesn't always happen just because Wilson is a little bit higher in the lineup. So those lines don't always get out there at the same time. But if Laviolette was able to make that happen, I'd love to see, Wilson get sat down by Rempe.
It would be a sight for sore eyes. I'd be more than happy to see it. Dylan, take us home. What is your biggest heading into Game 2?
For me, biggest thing for Game 2, I kind of alluded it a little bit in my Game 1 recap. They have to get inside a little bit more and I think that starts with puck management. Early in the game, especially, there were some turnovers right inside the blue line. And I know, first playoff game, nerves, big crowd, Garden going nuts, but I think we need to make sure that those pucks are getting in deep early in the game so that you're not – I kind of felt like the Rangers were just waiting to get the first one, and then they really started to ramp their game up. I don't know if that's necessarily a smart strategy to wait around and have that kind of looming over you and put that pressure on yourself. And then as far as – I'll take a different one too here. Power play, not great yesterday, which is ironic because this has been a power play team for most of the season. Power play looked very out of sync yesterday. Too much east-west passing for me, not a lot of shots to the net that, those Fox long shots that Kreider can get a handle on, or those down-low plays from Zibanejad and Panarin interchanges. I want to see, the power play we saw for most of the season, which, again, is extremely ironic. So, 5-on-5 was excellent yesterday, but I think 5-on-5 Washington actually can stay in the series. The power play is where the Rangers are just significantly elevated. So if we can get that power play going tomorrow, I think they'll start to really assert their dominance.
Yeah, I think we all had some phenomenal takes right there. It's not the most challenging series we've ever been a part of, but at the end of the day, it is still the playoffs. All it takes is one game tomorrow night, and then all of a sudden Washington has tied it, and it becomes a best of 5 instead.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that about wraps up our preview, unless anyone else. Dylan, I think you have one more thing.
Yeah.
Say it when you were talking.
Just came to me. Something to keep an eye on. Colin brought this up in his, game 2, what he wants to see. Rasmus Sandin did not play. Nick Jensen did not play. Watch the status of those two guys because that will definitely make the Capitals better defensively. Mm-hmm. And Sandin can really put them in on the power play. So those two guys for me. Obviously, Jensen took the big hit against Tampa late in the season, so not sure if he's going to return or what his status is, and haven't seen anything on Sandin either. But that could be something that helps Washington get back in the series, so be aware of that.
Yeah, that is true. I think we talked about that a little bit yesterday. Because during the live stream, when I gave my prediction, my original prediction was 4-1. And then I saw that they were out, and then I said, okay, we might score again. And I changed it to 5-1. I should have stuck with my gut. But I'm sure they will be back at some point. So
yeah, I'm reading already here on Twitter that he was skating. Sandin was skating today, and he's going to skate tomorrow morning before the game. May play tomorrow night, so that could obviously change some things for that Washington.
Yeah, it's going to be important that the Rangers recognize that, and that game 1, the Capitals were not at 100% because game 2, if one or both of these players come back, it will be a different team. They're both good defensive players for the Capitals. Probably their number 2 and 3 defensemen behind John Carlson, of course. So be sure to keep an eye out on that. That about wraps up today's episode, though, previewing game 2. Tomorrow at 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, we'll be going live again to preview game 2, live with the fans, answering all your questions and everything. I don't know who will be joining me because we haven't talked about it yet, but raise your hand if you're free at 6.
Actually, I might be at a park, so I got to see.
Okay, so it's going to be me and Will, and then questionably Colin. But be sure to tune into that. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, ring that bell so you don't miss notification. If you're watching us on Apple or Spotify, be sure to give us a 5-star review. Pause the outro. Sorry, Colin, I just saw your message. I had one more thing. Say it quick.
So I was just saying, has anybody heard anything on Hedl and if he's actually going to be possible to come back for this series?
Very quiet on him.
Yeah.
All I saw was that I think Laviolette said it's not out of the question to see him in the playoffs. Nothing about the series.
And then follow up, if he was able to come back, would you guys want him in the lineup?
Yes.
I wouldn't want him in the lineup. Not that guy. Who are you taking out?
Roslovic slides down, and I don't know. That's a.
You were so guns on. Yeah.
Before yesterday, Roslovic slides down and Rempe comes out.
Yeah, I agree.
After yesterday,
yeah, I don't know.
It's a good problem to have.
Don't mess with it. Don't mess with it. Unless something happens that you have to take somebody out, then you put him back in. But
or you do the one, or you 1-for-1 switch.
Two very big reasons to say no. One is Colin just brought up. You're going to ruin the chemistry. We're winning games. We won the President's Trophy without Hedl. Like, as much as we love him and as good as he is, I hate to say we don't really need him at the moment. We have 4 lines that are good, won the President's Trophy, and have a playoff series lead. Don't mess up the chemistry. Number 2, why risk it? This had like 4 concussions in like 3 years. Like, it's a miracle that he's even skating right now. Play the safe bet and just wait until next season. Don't risk it right now and put his career at jeopardy. But I don't know.
Until there's a reason to slot him back into the lineup, just keep him out.
I agree with that.
Jack Roslovic can keep him out of the lineup if he continues to play like he did yesterday. If he struggles, the noise will get loud, and I think you'll see Filipino come in on that win.
Yeah. I don't know, but I don't really feel like doing the outro again. So have a good one. And
Let's go Rangers.
Let's go Rangers.